I grew up in western Illinois, little town of Prairie City, Illinois, located between Macomb and Galesburg. I actually started working in the dealership at 13 years old. I did a little bit of everything from sweeping the floors to assisting field service techs and in the shop as well. Liked working with the other people at the dealership, had some good relationships and learned a lot from the full-time employees. I was working with a dealership out in Iowa, Westside Implement, the Massey Ferguson dealership, and the owner and general manager there, when he closed that business, had a couple different positions, but ended up working with Birkey's. And at the time I was working for Massey Ferguson at the corporate level and was looking to get back on the retail side, and he had contacted me one day and asked me if I had an interest in coming back. And at that time they were looking at and working on the Oakland merger.
Well, that's another funny one. Oakland's a very, very large metropolis with one bed and breakfast, a widow lady run it, 2 houses east of our store. Her name was June Johnson, fine lady around Oakland, but I think she rented Phil one room. I heard it had a feather tick bed and a candle in the window, and that was it. We had no Casey's and no microwave, so he was roughing it coming off the road, but stayed 2 doors from the front door.
Jim was very good to work with, has a lot of pride in his people and his dealership. I learned a lot from him as far as customer loyalty and employee relationships.
I think Phil tried hard. He probably knew more about my employees than I did because he spent a lot of time meeting the people that worked here, so he did very good at that.
Well, the one thing about Phil is Phil seems to know something about everybody, and he's always got a story to tell. Phil seems to be very endeared to our employees throughout the organization, and always seems to be very engaged with particularly our parts and service people personally.
Well, he's always been a good ambassador for our company, you know, amongst other dealers and with Case IH. And he's been one of those guys that I think all the employees really care about and like when he comes into the store, you know. So he's been a good face for our organization, I know that.
I've never seen anybody that Phil could not talk to. You know, he's just one of those guys that, like you said, very approachable and very likable. I mean, by everybody. I did not know anybody that did not like Phil, you know, at all. It's just very well liked and loved by everybody in Birkey's.
Yeah, Phil has interacted very well. The way he worked with the employees and valued their opinion on how we tackle what we were trying to accomplish together was just amazing to me. I mean, he had that finesse of working with them to accomplish the issues we had at hand. It was very, very, very impressive on my end of it. Yeah.
I can't imagine anyone getting along with employees any better than Phil has over the last 26 years. He's well respected everywhere. Most of the employees look at him as a friend, not an owner or an employer or a direct report or a boss. He's just been a friend.
There was a point in time that I could walk into any one of our locations and I knew the first and last names of every employee in that location. Obviously I can't do that now. 2 things contribute to that. We've grown, our number of employees is considerably more, and I'm older and my mind's not as good. But I had prided myself for many years in being able to do that. And it just is part of the relationships that I gained out there and developed.
Good. I would say that's probably one of Phil's strengths. Phil was always, he was a guy that really built relationships with our employees. I think we had a lot of employees that confided in Phil. He always seemed to know, be in the know, you know. I mean, he knew what was going on in different places with different people at times. Like, how do you know that, you know?
From day one, Phil, I've always had a hard time being able to tell the difference between when he's joking and when he's not joking. He'll say a comment and then kind of sit there and wait for you to react. And about 90% of the time, I react the wrong way. I either laugh at something that is not meant to be a joke, or I take something serious that he's obviously messing with me on. And I always think he gets a kick out of that. He's always keeping me on my toes there.
Oh, with Phil, there's always a lot of funny moments, but not any that I can just pinpoint, but it's always a good time with Phil.
I mean, I think one thing to take away from Phil is Phil likes to have fun, whether it's joking around or doing leisurely stuff like fishing, and that's something that, you know, play hard, work hard kind of attitude is what he's owned over the years. And, you know, as hard as we do work, it's always good to remember to take time off and unwind too.
Learning from Phil, listen, evaluate. That was two of his very strong traits, and that was two of my very weak traits. But I learned over the years that you could do a lot better just listening and evaluating your next move from that.
The main thing to me is the fact that Birkey's is a large organization, but still I consider it a family business, so to say, that type of culture. And I think that's where they really bring the value in the marketplace, is being able to do that and present that image to their employees and to the customer.
He'll enjoy his fishing, there's no question about it, and I wish him well. You know, the best thing about it was, I guess, not only was he a good owner to work for, but he's become a pretty good friend for me, so I'll miss that part of it.
I'm not done. Phil, in 1 year, found out not about my employees, but my customers' fishing holes all around about a 4-county area. And I think my brother-in-law, Jim Dennison, was a little miffed, because I think Phil knew more where the fishing holes were than JD, and they both loved to fish. But way to go, Phil. I know you fished a bunch of ponds.
I could give you a list of them, but probably fishing and outdoor activities will be one of them. Want to spend more time with my grandkids and family members, and that'll pretty much take care of the majority of my time.